This is the Infinity Summit Group. Truth, passion, success.
Is Monday, May 3rd, 2021. Welcome myself. I'm Noah.
Xavier.
Logan.
Jesse.
And we got a special guest on here today. Got Eli over here. Eli, you want to say anything about yourself?
Not really sure what to say.
He's got a green shirt on.
I do got a green shirt, and I love this shirt.
It says defund the media.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
I love it. It's a lot of fun. People do always bring up stuff about, like, political things whenever I wear it. And I forget that I wear it sometimes, but I'm always thinking I'm going to be wearing a hoodie and, like, have the media part cut off, and some Black Lives Matter activist is going to come up to me like, yeah, defund the police. I'm like, ha, fooled you. No,
Got him. That'd be pretty great.
It is a good shirt, though. Thank you. I like it a lot.
Yeah. So just for the listeners, the overall theme of today's podcast is going to be a lot about, Eli, of course, and then also a lot about self-discipline and how to kind of use that in your life to further progress your goals and all that jazz. So we'll jump right into the book by Martin Meadows. It was called
How to Build Self-Discipline. Daily
Self-Discipline. We may have read two separate books by Martin Meadows, but they had very similar messages. I've read both of them, so
I read like four of them.
Yeah, they're fairly short, and they've got all very similar messages in them. So the main thing that we were doing, like that we were taking away from this book, was the cold shower challenge that we've been doing the last 2 weeks, and that has been one heck of a ride. It's been just 5 minutes of torture every day. Yeah, it's been great. Except the one day I took 2. Yeah.
I'd say overall it's gotten easier. Like the first day I was screaming in the shower a little bit.
Yeah, it's gotten less entertaining to hear you shower.
Yeah, now it's just like 5 moments of silence.
Yeah.
Just pure sadness, really.
It's good for your heart, though.
Yeah.
Cold showers.
Yeah.
Is that the health benefits? Because I didn't really even look up the health benefits.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty of health benefits. Like, good for the heart, good for circulation. So your thing with the fingers that we were talking about earlier, it should actually help that. Probably won't feel so great as it's helping it, but it basically helps send those pulses to your body, helps circulate and stuff like that. Helps regulate body temperature because, especially with the world we live in, we're always trying to make it as comfortable as possible, where we live in the desert.
No, we get hard here.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, you guys are having cold showers.
Stay hard. Yeah.
But generally, we don't have to live with how the weather is. We can live however we want. It can be rainy or snowy or warm or hot as balls outside. Doesn't matter. It's always 70 in your house.
Yeah.
So we start to lose that like body regulation that like our forefathers had. So stuff like this helps.
Okay. I heard it increases testosterone.
It does. It also helps like when you're doing, when you're feeling kind of raunchy and randy and you do a cold shower, you get blue balls real quick.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like raw potato.
You get so balls.
Like if you ever like on like the No Nut November.
Oh yeah.
Cold showers during that month can help out a lot because
I think that's when I was doing them last.
That's good to know.
Really?
I think so.
You had a special secret weapon?
I spend less money.
Dude,
Yeah.
I've been too, I think.
Way less.
But I've also been focusing on spending less money. But
you guys save money on the heating bill too. So
that's true.
Yep.
We got to remember that for November though.
Right now.
I've noticed my face cleared up, like acne just gone to 0.
I noticed that as well. I mean, not 0 obviously, but
yeah,
better.
I've eaten a lot more sugar since we started it. And the gym on top of that, I've had so fucking much sugar. Just like, I don't know why. It's crazy.
I don't know. All I know is that sugar is like it burns faster in your body than, say, your carbohydrates and stuff. And so you're able to use it a little quicker, and it's kind of more of an act now kind of food.
that's why it
That
gets
makes
stored
sense.
as fat. And sugar also is what can cross the blood barrier. So in our blood, like obviously our blood stuff in our blood wants to stay in our blood. But like for oxygen to cross the blood barrier and actually get into like our muscles and stuff, it actually has to attach to glucose or sugar molecules.
Oh.
So sugar can help a lot with that stuff. Obviously, too much and your insulin level spikes and you end up with diabetes. But like that's why Gatorade is actually really sweet. It's not specifically. It was designed that way because they have another drink that's like it comes in pouches. They hand it to third world kids. But these are drinks they do the same thing as Gatorade. They boost your electrolytes, and they're always a little bit sweet. But they definitely don't have the colors. They're always just clear, and they're not nearly as sweet as like local Gatorades and stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the sweetness of those drinks actually serves a purpose to help cross that blood barrier in your body.
Hmm.
Wow.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. That is interesting. And whenever you're sick, I have noticed like when you can taste sweet things less, then Gatorade starts tasting very salty.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Also, there's a drink called, what is it? Liquid IV or something?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
That helps
that?
for hangovers.
It's
or to prevent hangovers.
I just use Pedialyte.
it's so salty. Does
Oh,
that
okay.
actually help?
Pedialyte?
Because I had a hangover this last weekend. It was not fun.
Yeah, you grab.
It was a
whole
minor
bottle
one.
of Pedialyte.
Now, is
Chug that
is this when you wake up hungover?
Yeah.
Or is this the night
this
before?
is not a before thing.
Oh, okay.
Before thing is like if you want to prevent a hangover, just drink slower and drink water.
Yeah.
And
One
don't-
lesson I always learned,
and
which
eat.
is hard to follow but easy to remember, is you do 1 for 1. So you have a drink, then have a glass of water, have a drink, have a glass of water, and you'll stay good the whole night. I do the white girl method, and I just get really drunk and then throw it all up before it has a chance to get in my bloodstream, and then try to fill water.
There you go.
Yeah, not as much fun and not pretty, but I usually feel all right in the morning. I feel great.
Yeah.
Weed helps with it too. Hangovers. At least I've noticed. Every time
Maybe.
I drink, I finish smoking. Feel pretty good.
I think it helps. Sunlight, I found helps me too. Like just getting some sunlight. Probably some shades because it's bright outside.
Yeah.
So I just
Some
go lay
Advil.
in the sun. Some of my favorite hangover days are like the day after. It's always bright and sunny. You're like, you don't want to go outside because you're like, I don't want to move. But just going outside and laying in the sun, for me, it always felt really invigorating.
Taking a nap.
Yeah, exactly.
A
Pop
favorite
some
hangover
migraine
day.
medication.
I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Favorite hangover day.
Well, I was drinking with somebody, and the next day we wake up, and he's like, yes, it's overcast. And I was like, what? Because we all have a hangover at this point. I'm like, overcast? He's like, yeah. He's like, I hate having hangovers on sunny days because if you have a hangover on a sunny day, it feels like a wasted day. But if it's an overcast day, it's like, cool. The sky looks like my insides feel.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I could say that some hangovers actually aren't that bad. Like you kind of are foggy and shit, but then you're just like, it is like a chiller day, like you're saying. You're just like, all right, just gonna take it easy today.
Yeah.
The wine
Almost
ones, I think, are the
nothing.
worst. Get it? A wine hangover?
Oh, they're terrible.
Because to me, that's all headache. Like, I can deal with the nausea, the dehydration, all that stuff. But as soon as my head starts doing that pulsing, boom, 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 it drives me nuts.
And this all has to do with self-discipline because you don't want to do these things when you're disciplined.
This is what not to do.
You know, just be disciplined to drink a full bottle of Pedialyte.
Yes. So the discipline requires you waking up while you have a hangover and drinking that Pedialyte.
Also disciplined
drinking
to
water.
drink water while you're drinking.
That's
Yes,
what I found
yes.
is more important because, like, drinking, the reason you drink is to augment your fun. It's not like I feel like when most of us start drinking, it's all like, how fast can I get messed up, you know? But after a while, you realize, well, I'll have just as much fun if I'm kind of messed up or really messed up. And it's kind of fun now to, like, go through a party and you kind of staying sober. And my thing I always liked is how secretly can I get sober, too? And so you see everybody start getting drunk and you start working your way towards sober. And it can be kind of fun to, like, you start seeing the party in a different perspective. And then you can do the whole surprise, oh, I'm leaving. They're like, what? You've been with us all night? Yeah. Been having water for the last 4 hours.
Yeah.
Nobody's noticed.
Oh yeah, I know a few people who do that one.
I pulled a sneaky on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they lying and driving drunk. You know, that's not good.
Yeah.
Don't
we,
do
we
that.
don't do that. And if your friends try to do that, then just offer to drive them.
Just smack them in the face.
Yes. Take their keys.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's never worth it. It's,
Yeah.
No, so I think this really has to do with the idea of moderation in all things, and that has to do extremely with self-discipline. You know, there's smoking weed once isn't going to kill you unless you. It's just probably
It's
not
just
going
not
to
gonna
kill you.
kill you.
Yeah, it's just probably not going to
Yeah.
kill you 99.99% of the time, right? Unless there's something else in it, obviously. But or having a cigarette or having a drink, whatever you do for fun is not going to kill you in moderation, and it's going to be even could have beneficial effects for you. But the problem lies in when you are undisciplined with it and start to stray from that moderate path into extremities. And that's where like your cancers come from and all that, from smoking and yada yada.
Yeah, Napoleon Hill had a cool saying that he did in one of his live talks that I was listening to, where he talks about I'm a disciplined person. He's like, but the difference is that if I'm gonna have a drink, I drink the drink. It doesn't drink me. If I'm gonna have a cigar, I have the cigar. The cigar doesn't have me. He says, like, don't be taken in by these vices, and don't be, and even good things can do it too, to where it's something you really enjoy. But for me, it's whenever I notice I'm doing something without making the conscious choice to do it, or conscious, I struggle with vape pens.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So if I ever had one, I would just find it in my mouth, and like, I don't remember thinking, oh, I want to hit that. It was just in there, and it was like I was catching myself after the fact. And so to me, that felt like it had more of a hold on my willpower than I did.
Mm-hmm.
So I never like to be controlled by something like that. To me, it feels, like you said, it doesn't feel good, because then it feels like it has the power.
Oh yeah. That's kind of how it's been with the cold showers. I mean, obviously everyone chooses to have a shower every day, yada yada, but it's the hot showers got very comfortable, and so it was just like a pleasure that I was taking for granted.
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
And so now I have to consciously choose to get into that cold shower and have that cold shower. I know it's a very different concept both ways, but
I don't think so, because one thing about
the key thing is the awareness, essentially.
Yeah,
Right?
and I actually really liked it. I talked to a Navy SEAL once, and he had a really cool perspective on self-discipline. And let's see if I'll do it justice, but it was something along the lines of, you have your discipline piggy bank, right? Mm-hmm. And you put in your piggy bank coins, and then when you need to, you can take them and use them for different things. So he's like, and so all it is making those mental choices to take a cold shower and forego the hot shower, to not have that third beer or whatever, or, maybe not smoke weed tonight, or just a small little in the piggy coin in the piggy bank versus a consumption of it. And then later, when you really need that self-discipline, like, man, I really got to finish this paper. I've really got to, buckle down and do this. Then your body trusts you, your mind trusts you to basically make a withdrawal with that self-discipline you can start using. It's kind of like how you flex that self-discipline muscle.
So, question is, how have you been able to flex that self-discipline muscle in your life? You're welcome to get as personal or not as you want. Yeah, do you have any examples as far as your life goes specifically?
Yes, yeah. The difficulty becomes, because I've always kind of been a disciplined person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, and it mostly came from a sense of like, a lot of time it came from a sense of proving somebody wrong. Like when I first started working out and getting healthy, it wasn't for me. It was because I wanted to prove someone else wrong. So it came from a sense of stubbornness rather than
Did someone call you fat or something?
Oh yeah, Garrett did. He called me fat all the time. It pissed me off all through school. And so, but that's where I got my discipline, and that's kind of where I think it started. Oh. And it worked really well for me, especially because I'm stubborn. So I'll do whatever it takes to basically prove someone else wrong. And that helped. But as I've gotten further along, it's harder to use that same lesson, because it comes with it's a double-edged sword, where I start like beating myself up about it, which doesn't help. It's like, if you're undisciplined, you suffer. Say you cave and you have that cigarette in the day, like, God dang it, I caved on my discipline, and then you start whipping yourself about it. You've been suffering twice for the one mistake. It doesn't really serve anybody, versus like really going, no, I'm gonna really make a commitment to change. So for me though, discipline has always been awareness is a big one. Is just know what you're doing and be aware of what you're doing. Be aware of your choices, because just so many people walk around unconsciously and they're not aware of all these habits. And it's like, and even when people are like, oh, I don't have any bad habits that I'm need to be disciplined about. I'm like, well, what about your good habits? Like, think about all the other habits. Like I'm like way into the an audiobook right now. It's a full-on fantasy series, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm constantly getting into it, and I can tell in my mind it's constantly a red alarm that's like, you're not disciplined with this. You can't put it down. Whenever I can't put something down, to me that always comes up in a bad thing, because like I said, it has more power over me, and
It's not the way of kings, is it?
no, I've already gone through that one. This is a new one by Will White. It's
Ooh, which one? I like these books.
yeah, Unsold.
So good. I love
Yeah?
them. Yeah.
I'm on which one am I on? Underlord? Yeah, I'm on Underlord.
Underlord's
No,
yeah.
the one right after Uncrowned. That's the one.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
The tournament's sick.
Yeah, exactly. I've been in the tournament, so that's been such a fun series.
Well, Will White's got a lot of good books.
Does he? I had never even heard of him until these books.
Yeah, I think I've read 2 of his 3 series.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I might have to check him out. Which is actually funny. We talk about book series. Your Cold Showers reminded me of another series called The Dresden Files, where he's if you guys know Mason, he's probably mentioned him before.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's talking to me, yeah.
It's a great series, but it's a lot of fun because he, as a wizard, he can't be around technology, so he has to suffer cold showers. So that constantly comes up in the books that he's consistently had cold showers his like entire life. And so whenever you guys said cold showers, I was thinking of that. Like, oh man, that would suck. You just always have cold showers, especially in the winter when you really want to come home and just have a nice warm shower.
Yeah, I'm glad we did it now when it's coming into spring.
Yeah.
It's been a couple warm weeks.
Yeah.
So you do like jujitsu or something like that, right?
Yeah. So the style is called Wuji Chuan Fa.
Okay.
Rolls off the tongue, right?
That sounds like a good dish.
Yeah, I know. Right? Wuji Chuan Fa with fried rice.
Yeah, please.
Let's see. Yeah, so it's a kind of amalgamation of a lot of different martial arts together. It's a heavy background in some Tai Chi or Tai Chi Chuan, which is like the combat Tai Chi, not the grandparents in the park Tai Chi.
Yeah.
Bagua, Xingyi, military stuff. It has just kind of everything in there.
You know how to just kick someone's butt rather than touch their energies.
Why not
Both?
do both? Yeah.
Both is good.
I'm going to hurt you, and I'm going to make your own energies hurt you, too.
I've taken away your bending.
Yeah. That one, actually, Jesse, you were mentioning this during the, the pre-meeting before about having, like, that determination to really focus on something. Yeah. They had a meditation that they had me do that I found I got a lot of use out of it. They call it the candle meditation. So it's simple. You get a candle where you can see the flame. Mm-hmm. You light the candle, and basically the meditation is that you're just going to watch that candle for 15 minutes for an entire month, not missing a day. So you just got to sit down and watch the candle 15 minutes. Breathe however you want. Listen to music. They kind of say just kind of meditate with the candle, but yeah, you do this and then you're trying to make it through 30 days without missing a day. So and set an alarm too, because that's what I would do. Where like you do it, and I'm like, I wonder how much time I got left. No, don't think about it. And then I look over, and it's like I have 2 minutes left. I'm like, damn it! So then I have to restart it because I'm trying to watch the candle the entire time.
Oh, right.
And doing that one, that really showed me that like, if I could put 15 minutes of my day for a candle, I could put 15 minutes of my day for anything. Mm-hmm. And then, especially stuff I don't want to practice, I'm like, I'm going to go do this for 15 minutes and then be done. You know, chalk it up as a win. I don't care if it's half-assed. I'm going to set a timer on my phone, 15 minutes. I'm going to go, exercise, or I'm going to read a book, or I'm just going to get on jump roping for 15 minutes.
Go save on car insurance.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that showed me that like I could make time for these things, and then doing it for a month helped put a bunch of the coins in my piggy bank that I'm like, I have the attention span for at least 15 minutes of something. My body and my mind start to trust me. So
Form that habit.
Exactly.
Did you make it 30 days of watching the candle?
First month, no. Second time now. I've done I've done it like 3 or 4 times now. I think only one of those times I didn't make it.
Okay.
I made it to like day 28 or something like that, or 29. I missed it. I remember once we were having a party at my house, and I'm like, I did my candle today. I'm like, oh crap, I didn't. I've had a little bit to drink, a little bit to smoke. I'm like, I'm gonna go. Like, I'll be back, guys, in like half an hour. And I go into my room and I light a candle. I'm sitting there watching. I'm hearing the party going on in my house. I'm in my room staring at a candle.
Yeah, that'd be hard.
It was kind of challenging, but I learned a lot from it. That was one of my favorites, and it really helped me focus and get some of those discipline habits.
Yeah. So, I mean, focusing like that, you're literally only focusing on the candle for 15 minutes. That's more attention span than most anybody has.
You think that, but I mean, what are most TV shows? 30 minutes? I mean,
That's true, but you've usually got a TV show and a phone going at the same time.
not always.
Or food, or a drink. There's always something else, you know? So just focusing on a candle would just be, seems like it'd be challenging.
It can be challenging. I'm sure some people struggle with it more than others. It's going to be a personal thing, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think anybody can do it. And like I said, start small.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch a candle for 3 minutes every day. Because then you actually just get the discipline of setting aside 3 minutes of your day to do this one specific arbitrary task. I mean, you could really do it with anything. It's like, I'm not going to run, but at least once a day I'm going to walk down and up my street. And then by a month, you're like, okay, I'm doing this. This would be a lot quicker if I ran up and down the street.
Yeah.
And so you start running up and down the street, and then you're like, if I'm out running, I think I could go even further than that. And you start running. You let the habits grow naturally, because that's one thing I've found through life is that things compound. Like there's like compound interest and compound finances. Mm-hmm. Good habits compound too, and so do bad habits. Mm-hmm. And they're all perspective based too. I mean, good for one person is not good for the other. But you start a habit and you just do it and just get the habit down. It's going to start compounding with itself. You start exercising more, you start drinking more water. You start drinking more water, you start craving more fruits and veggies. You start craving more fruits and veggies, you start looking thinner. And it's these habits getting together and compounding together that really, I think, help skyrocket you versus like, I'm just going to do bench presses and not change my life at all and just do the bench presses and it's going to solve all my problems. But it doesn't. It's what is that? Habits attract their cousins. So good and bad habits. It's like, have a drink and then not have a smoke. Doesn't happen. But if you're drinking and somebody's out smoking a cigarette, you're gonna have a puff too. Especially if you're hanging out with them. Habits have pairs that they roll in.
Yeah, I have heard of a thing called a Keystone Habit, such as working out, and that leads to other good habits. Such as eating healthier, drinking more water, all this other jazz.
Yeah.
And just making you healthier as a person. Going to bed on time or getting enough sleep in a night is also a keystone habit. And
I don't have that one.
Things like that. No, me neither.
Also, if you're trying to break bad habits, you've got to replace it with something.
Yeah.
You have to replace it with something, or, you got to fill that void and that time hole, I guess.
That if you really get to the deep core of it, it's not as important to fill it, because any habit we have fulfills a need for us. We get something out of it. If you can find what you're getting out of it and then find another way to get that feeling, they'll just naturally,
a little bit better.
They'll naturally replace each other, rather than like giving up smoking and trying to fill it up with puzzles, something totally different. It's not going to fulfill the same need, because you're like, I'm giving up smoking for puzzles, but the benefit, the payoff I get from smoking, I don't get from puzzles. So if you can find the payoff you're getting and then transition it. So say it's relaxing. Mm-hmm. And so you're like, well, I smoke to relax. Okay, well, I'm going to start meditating instead of smoking. And you actually start getting relaxed. Your brain is going to go, oh, this habit works to fulfill this need too. And it'll make the switch a lot easier.
Actually, not a bad idea. So do you meditate besides the candle meditations? Do you practice your Zen with all that, whatever you called it, the dish, the Asian dish?
We just call
That you
Kung
do.
Fu. Just call it Kung Fu.
All right, we'll call it Kung Fu.
It makes it really simple and easy.
I like
but yeah, so right now I'm actually. Do you guys know what Vipassana is? I know you do.
Yeah.
So me and my sister just left for Vipassana. We got back last Sunday. Mm-hmm. So we went on that full 10-day thing where we're meditating 10, 12 hours a day every day.
Is that what you don't talk?
Yes.
You just meditate?
And they don't feed you dinner.
Was that hard?
It was hard.
So you just starve every day? Every night?
Yeah, pretty much. No, you essentially go to living like a monk. Like you wake up early in the morning, you meditate, you have oatmeal, then you meditate, then you have lunch, which thankfully they changed up the lunches. Then you meditate, then you can have some tea, then you meditate, and then you go to bed. Rinse and repeat, 10 days. They don't want you doing anything else. Oh, yeah.
How was that for you?
It was rough.
I'm guessing there's no electronics, nothing, nothing allowed.
You give up your phone. I mean, you could have snuck it in, but like, if you really wanted
Right, you got to take it on if you're going to do
Why are
it.
you going if you're not going to?
Yeah,
See it
exactly.
through.
That's kind of where I was at, and I was like, oh, I could have my phone in my bag and I'm just have the willpower to not do it, and I would have been fine. But like day 7 or 8, I would have been like, I'll just look on my phone to see what the weather's gonna be like tomorrow, and that would have just cascaded down into
The rabbit hole.
yeah, exactly. So, but that meditation, it's that one was like an hour-long meditation. That's the idea, is you're doing an hour of no movement meditation. And so I've been trying to keep that habit up for 30 days.
I'd fall asleep.
There's a bit of that, yeah.
Is it just to find yourself, or like what's the end goal?
So Vipassana, from what I gathered, is it's actually a way to get rid of some of these bad habits without knowing what they are. At least that was my interpretation of it. So, so the whole idea is like the Buddhist idea of suffering comes from attachment and aversion. So if you have attachment to something, say smoking or drinking, you're attached to it. You really want it. You can't. It's hard to say no to it. Mm-hmm. Aversion is the opposite. It's something that's hard to say yes to. Say exercising or eating healthy. You have an aversion to these things. And so the idea is you're going to meditate and you're going to allow things to come into your mind, and you're going to use your body to get these signals, and you're going to get rid of any attachments and aversions. So you're kind of just operating it like a Zen kind of even kill. To me, it's the stoicism idea, is that I don't allow anything to influence me. I choose all my reactions. And when I choose my reactions, I choose fully in. So it's like, if I'm sad, I'm fully sad. But I've chosen to be sad. It's not like I just like wailing and crying and falling apart. I like, oh, this is sad. This makes me feel sad. I'm going to choose into that and then choose to be sad and experience the full range of sadness, then let it pass, because I'm not attached to being sad. I'm not going to I'm not going to listen to sad music all day. I'm just going to feel sad for a while, then let it flow away. And so the meditation is supposed to help with that. Like I said, I did it for 10 days. So I was like, hell, what's 20 more days? So I've been trying to keep that habit up. So every morning I've been meditating, well, air quote, meditating for an hour in the morning. Just trying to do that. And it tends to be broken up in like 15, 20, 30-minute sections where I'll like get into a meditation and get out. And it's only been like 30 minutes. I'm like, okay, we'll jump back in. And, but usually I have some sort of meditation I'm trying to do. Just because meditation, like, it doesn't have to look like the whole sit on a pillow cross-legged and om.
Yeah.
Meditation really is, if you look at it, like, kind of dark, but the premeditated murder.
Yeah.
Meditated basically means you thought about it beforehand. So meditation can be as easy as like, I'm just going to meditate on stocks. I'm going to meditate on like what I want in stocks, what I find a good deal, what kind of dividends I want, and pre-think all this stuff and give basically yourself time away from distractions to really go in and check with yourself. So
It's actually not a bad idea.
yeah, you can really meditate with anything. It's just basically having a focus on one thing beforehand. Because you can't meditate on these things while they're happening. So finding time to meditate beforehand is really good. Or use it to like, I know one meditation that I wanted to start doing again, where basically throughout the day, at the end of the day, you meditate and you replay the entire day. Every choice, with as much memory, with as much recall as you can do, you replay your entire day throughout the day up until the point where you're meditating. So you're just basically replaying the entire day. And what this does is, one, it helps with memory, because you start remembering things day to day, which basically you're flexing that memory muscle. And two, it helps you realize what you're doing. It's like, wow, I didn't realize that I was spending 3 hours playing Guitar Hero. But then you meditate, you think about your day, and you're like, wow, I spent 3 hours playing Guitar Hero for the last week. And especially if you don't have judgment about it, then it's just, oh, cool. It's like you notice what you're doing. You notice where your time goes. Like the idea, like, oh, where does the time go? It's like, it's a ridiculous saying to me now, because I'm like, I know exactly where the time went.
Yeah.
I watched YouTube videos for 2 hours.
How do you meditate on nothing? Like, because I've tried to like sit there and
Right.
just think about nothing, but then you think about literally everything.
Yeah.
Right? So how do you just like shut off your mind
To
to just be in the moment, I guess?
Thanks, man. I got poked in the eye, and it's freaking making me. Yeah, it's bad. So meditate on nothing. A lot easier as a guy. Like as a guy, we have our nothing box. I don't know if you guys have looked into that stuff and all that, but The first meditation I
Mine
learned.
shrunk.
What?
I said my nothing box shrunk.
You got married, right?
Yeah.
Hey, can I get in the nothing box? No, because then there's something in it. First meditation I heard was basically the best thing is follow your breath. Just focus on your breath, and then for me it was try to hear my own heartbeat. That was my goal, was just to be able to hear and feel my own heartbeat throughout my body. And when those thoughts come up, don't try to fight them or wrangle them in, but like the visualization I like is water. So like thoughts will come up and they'll like come up in waves, and you'll be completely submerged in the thought. That's fine. Let it go, and it's just gonna pass. And don't try to wrangle all your thoughts, because you try to contain the ocean, it's gonna spill out. Mm-hmm. But if you just let it wash over you, eventually you end up on top of it, and you can see the thoughts coming, but you don't have to react to them. They don't go away, but you start tuning them out.
Just think of it like Eli is experiencing this.
Yeah, totally.
Like you're watching a show of yourself, kind of.
Oh yeah, I get like that all the time. Where it's actually really funny where I can be like pissed off about something, and at the same time in the back of my head, I'm like, you're just pissed off about this because you're afraid of the X, Y, or Z happening, right? And I'm like, shut up, me. And then I'm like, why don't people like me? I just yell at myself. So yeah, kind of having that like my own self looking over my shoulder, and I can gauge my reaction. So I'm reacting in the moment, but then I can also like see myself react and go like, oh, why did you react? Why did I react this way?
Yeah, self-reflection seems to be a big part of self-discipline.
It makes sense. And like I've always had that, but that's because I've always been critical of myself. Instead of like, where can I improve? It was always like, wow, you're a piece of shit. You need to work on this harder, this harder.
Guilty.
Yeah, that's a toughie one. And I'm starting to get over it. I can feel the pattern shifting. Mm-hmm. But that's part of why I'm sticking to this meditation I'm doing, because I feel like they're tied together. And for me, I've tied it together, but it's like if I can do this 30-day habit, then to me that'll be like a good time where it's all gone. I can start doing things because I want to do them, versus I feel like I have to do them to catch up or to not be left behind or to not fail or not end up in the gutter or something.
So this was a lot of stuff, from what I'm understanding, that you brought with you from your previous years, where you're just like, man, I've been critical all this time. I've got all these bad habits, whatever. Yeah. And then you're like, all right, we're cleaning everything up.
Maybe. It actually was different, because I've had things like that, like Impact. Like you get out of Impact, like, yeah, I'm ready to turn over a new leaf, do things differently. And then, 3 or 4 weeks pass and you start finding yourself back in the same habits. And you ride that high for a little bit, but it wears off. This one was different, where getting out of it, I didn't have that high. Because honestly, I was so fucking glad to be out of there. Like I was.
This was the meditation.
Yeah,
camp.
This is the meditation Vipassana. I was done with it. At day 9, I was like, I one more day. I just gotta make it one more day.
I really need to think about myself again.
But getting out of it, it felt more of like a cool. I'm gonna start working on myself, but not for a sense of like I need to improve myself, but more of I just need to let myself flourish, let myself blossom. Because that criticism, it's a good motivator, but it's ultimately toxic, because you essentially start seeing only your flaws. And if you're gonna judge yourself, it should be a 50-50 scorecard. These are all the things I do bad. These are all the things I do good. And definitely keep the goods, more aware of the goods, because it's like if you tell somebody don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, they're usually going to keep on doing it, and you just end up getting upset at them because you're not offering any solutions. But if you compliment what they're doing to avoid it, or give them positive reinforcements, they're more likely to do positive reinforcements. Like that's the great thing about when you raise kids, is you want to positively reinforce their good habits, not condemn their bad habits, because they won't have an idea of what they're doing wrong. They're just doing something and they're getting yelled for it. But if you're enforcing the good habits, then they're going to keep on doing good habits. So it's like you catch more flies with honey. It's that whole idea. You can like, I don't know a good analogy there, but you can really make some quick work if you're really critical of yourself. But I found that I kind of capped my growth to an extent, and I started not experiencing happiness in my growth because I was so focused on like how bad I was. And it's like you almost start doing good, and you're like, I'm not doing anything wrong. It's like, you piece of shit, you find something that you're doing wrong, and then it's like I start beating myself up because I'm trying to find something that I'm doing wrong to fix, versus oh, you're doing this well, and this well, and this well, and I can start encouraging those changes.
That's
Try that.
the way that you just put that. It's just like in America how we're so comfortable, and like how everyone was doing so well that naturally there has to be an evil that pops up like Antifa.
Oh yeah.
Or I don't know, Black Lives Matter or whatever, like hate groups, quote unquote, because we're so comfortable. I don't know if that just made sense what you were just talking about, but
Maybe
in comparison,
So I think what I'm understanding that you're saying is like we're doing so well that people kind of have to find something wrong. They
Yeah.
have to find something to attack.
exactly.
Like, oh, there's racists now. Now there's cops. And
Yeah,
all this stuff.
there's no
They're-
time to worry about surviving and finding the next meal. Now that everyone has that, then it's like, all right.
They got so much time on their hand that now they can pick everything apart.
Hey, don't you find it funny
Right.
that we have so many things in our life that make it so much easier and quicker, and yet everybody's stressed about getting somewhere still?
We're one of the most
Yeah.
unhappy countries in the world.
Uh-huh. It's like
crazy.
carrot and stick. It's like if you never get the carrot and you just keep on getting the stick, it's like I'm pissed off.
Yeah. But it seems like that's the way that our society's brought up, though, is push, 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 always towards progress. But that is kind of the American dream, is you just crush it in the capitalistic world, you know?
That's just
Yeah.
the dream.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it should be though, like you should want to work to improve your life, and to me the American dream has always been I have the ability to work and gain as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, if I don't want to work, then that's fine. I just don't expect progress out of it. And if
Right.
I want to
At
work,
least not monetarily, huh?
yeah, well, any type of progress really, because I mean, like cleaning your room, you don't get monetary benefit from cleaning your room, but you do get peace of mind, you get organization, and your room starts to feel more like yours because you're taking control. You're taking, what is it? Not sovereign.
Ownership?
Yeah, there's definitely ownership.
Stewardship.
Stewardship, that's the one.
Welcome.
Yeah. But yeah, you're taking stewardship of it, and so it helps in that ways because there's more currencies than just money in this world, right? Time is a huge currency, and so yeah, the push to me is it's a byproduct of people like you can go out there and push and do it like a thing that I always think is funny is what is it that you know what the Jews do on Christmas? They usually go get Chinese food. It's like an old joke because Christmas isn't a Jewish holiday, so they have nothing to do, but everything's closed because most people are Christian. And so what do? They go get Chinese food. They're the only other people who aren't celebrating Christmas.
Because they work very hard all the time.
And that's part of the reason immigrants, I think, do really well in the country is because they don't have the same traditions and preset habits that we do. And so then they can offer, one of them like, hey, if we open up on Christmas, people actually come in so they can make money. So it's like, I like that people are willing to, they can work and they can get benefits out of it. The problem is when people are like, you have to work. You have to do this. And when people are like, well, I didn't want to do it, but I feel like I'm entitled to this. That's the opposite of the American dream because then you're not getting what you put in, which is how life works. You get what you put into it. Instead, they're trying to make a world where it's, you get what you didn't put in or you get what somebody's excess gave you.
Communism.
Yeah.
The lack,
Socialism.
the exact
Yeah.
opposite of self-discipline.
Yeah, in a way it is. Cause
Do everything for me.
because it punishes the people who are self-disciplined.
Yeah.
It's,
And it's even being encouraged.
well, it's. I remember at one point me believing in the same type of way, but because it's built on an idealistic idea of how the world works or should work. People and like they're usually nice people. That's the worst thing, is these people who believe in socialism are actually nice people.
Yeah.
But that's what like the road to hell is paved in good intentions, where they're like, I want people are naturally good, which is true. At least I believe it to be true. People are naturally charitable, which is true. So then why are we all just sharing? I'm like, that's a good question. But you know what? If you put 10 people in a room and they start sharing, one person's going to have the great idea to go, I can make a profit here. And that's but that's human nature. I mean,
Progress.
yeah, a caveman saw another caveman working on like a square wheel, and he's like, I could make something better than that. He wasn't a capitalist pig; he was an innovator.
Yeah.
And so we're built to think, how can this be improved? How can I capitalize on this situation that's in front of me? And even though people are naturally good, to make them do good just for the sake of others, you're going to ruin those people because some of the most miserable people I've ever met are ones who have only served other people. Like, they don't put themselves in that category. It's, I do everything for someone else. I'm not, no, you take the last one. You take the last one. I'll eat later and all this stuff. And they're really nice people.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah, same here, right? Put on your own mask before you put on the child's mask kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's airplane masks, not face masks.
Yeah. But, I mean, I'm not good with articulating words. I'm not at all.
It's all right. Just do your
Or,
best,
like,
big guy.
articulating
Don't
my
articulate
thoughts.
them, just say them.
Fucking brain farted now, bro. Shit. I'm toast. That's it.
Well, that's fine. So,
When you figure out what you're trying to
yeah,
say.
when you figure it out, just come back.
It'll fucking come.
So our group is about financial, political, spiritual success and knowledge, things like
Yeah.
that. We've talked a little bit about your spiritual side of self-discipline. Do you have a monetary side to your self-discipline or a political side at all? And what do you do there?
Yeah, so
If you do.
the financial one has been interesting. So I assume you guys have done the 13 principles of prosperity.
Yeah, we've talked about them. We haven't put them on because they are not on SoundCloud anymore.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I tried to find them a while ago and I couldn't find them, and I was pretty upset.
We ended up going to the source and purchasing them.
You can purchase them?
Well, we did.
I didn't know you could buy them. Or else I
Just
would've
got to
bought 'em.
know the people.
Gotcha.
You can't buy them. We actually went to someone who knew Rick Kerber
Oh, cool.
personally and got it via him, and ended up just kind of donating to their cause, whatever.
Oh yeah, I would do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I've got a couple people who are wanting to do that, so I'll probably talk to them and see if they'd be okay with it, and then I'll just get the money to the right people.
Yeah, let me know. I'd like to be in that group because I've
Yeah.
always wanted one of those for myself. Like, either if I have to hand write down the notes, I want a copy of it for myself because it's so hard to find out there.
They've got the 13 principles themselves listed, but the lectures they're not
the
there
lectures
anymore.
are where it's at though.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I always want to see the video of the lecture too. I've never seen that. I've only ever done the
I
audio.
haven't seen the video either. That would be unique.
Yeah, luckily he does talk a lot, and he's not as much of a hand talker, or at least I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think he is, but
Yeah, very interesting guy. We'll say very interesting source where those come from.
I agree.
There's a lot of controversy surrounding that whole group.
Really?
Oh
Still?
yeah, it's very, very intriguing. I've looked into it as far as like what's on the records and things like that, and what the people around them say. It's just very intriguing.
Interesting. I'll have to talk about that
Yeah.
some other time.
Yeah, we will.
That sounds like a whole conversation and a half.
Oh yeah, it's been interesting. But
But
yeah, I do have the principles, and I can I'll see if they're cool with it. If we can donate some money, and just that way I can distribute them that way, because there's a lot of people I know who want them.
yeah, that's good because I've heard it plenty of times. I've written them down, and part of it is the dollars follow value, right?
Yes.
And so I was like, I really wanted to test this one, and to me, it's like I hate trying to like I don't want to go and make money anymore. Like, no, I do want to make money, obviously, but like I'm sick of trying to think of how to make money and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like, what's the
Be a
best-
servant to money kind of thing.
Exactly, and I'm like, lately I've been trying to flip my perspective on it, and so instead of thinking, oh, I've got to I have bills coming up, I'm like, oh man, I don't have enough money for this. Instead of thinking I got to go make some money, I'm trying to change my perspective on it to I need to go create value.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I've been working on my financial side of things, is actually just getting the mindset of serving instead of making money. I'm gonna go serve. I'm gonna go create value for people, and sometimes value can actually be spending money on something or just doing something for somebody. Like, it's kind of cool. Once I started looking out for it, you find chances to provide value for a lot of people, especially sometimes just showing up can provide value. It's one of the reasons I was stoked you invited me to here. It's like, sweet, at the very least I can get on and make it so you guys have to talk less. Like,
Yeah.
I can provide some sort of value, but I'm just trying to provide value. So it's been a lot of mindset shifts. Like that one, I've been paying a lot of attention to the wealthy people around me and how they think and act.
Mm-hmm.
And so like one is they all have abundance mindset. There's always enough. There's always plenty. And I catch myself like thinking of like, oh, what if there's not enough X? What if there's not enough Y or whatever? So catching and I'm trying to change my mindset because I really want to And my whole goal is to test that if I can just change my mindset, the dollar is going to follow. Like, I won't have to really go and try to create this way to make money. I'm just going to create this way to think and live. And it's like, if I'm going to operate at a higher vibration, the world can't help but give me that vibration back. So I've been kind of trying to work at it from that angle. And so I'll either end up in a poor house but be happy, or I'll end up super wealthy, or both. Who knows? It's
Yeah, how has that been so far?
It's been
financially?
Good. It calls up a lot of things because like I don't have money for some stuff, and so I start to panic and like I have a huge credit card debt right now, and then I huge in my mind. There's people out there who probably suffer way worse than I do, but I get this panic, and it comes from a sense of there's not enough money, there's not enough time to make this money, and so I catch myself with some of my preset thoughts of how I see and how I think about money and making it and stuff like that. And then it's like, when I'm like, what should I do? It's like, what do I want to do today? Or like, I have free time in my day. I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm like, well, what can I do that will create value? Either for somebody, for myself, for anybody. Just I'm going to focus on creating value. And so far it's been working well where I'm fine. I mean, I'm not flourishing. I don't have money to spend on stocks and stuff. But also it's been like a year and I haven't really had a full-time job. So
Yeah.
it's been working out pretty well that way.
Have you ever read The Go-Giver?
Go-Giver. No, I haven't.
It kind of relates to what you're talking about.
Yeah? I'm going to check into that one. That
Would
sounds
recommend that.
Yeah, it's a good book.
Yeah.
good. And with the political thing, so back for a while, I was going to a lot of the mask rallies and stuff like that, and
Oh, yeah.
that's where I got this T-shirt. Actually, so me and Rodney would go to those all the time, and it was pretty interesting seeing the different people. And the one thing I noticed, paying attention to it, is that you're not as alone as you think. Like, ironically, on either side of the argument, you're not as alone as you think, because the argument they're gonna make you think you're alone, that you're the only sane person in this crazy world. But it's not true. So many people have these thoughts. In fact, so many people are arguing about the same thing. It's like so often arguments are about how to do the same thing two different ways, and then both sides are stuck that there's only my way or the other way. And I'm like, there's like 100 ways that you could do this. It's more of results. So I haven't been super active lately. For that, I've been trying to kind of sit back and observe more, and come at it with more of a charitable nature. Because like, I did the whole like scowl at people wearing masks and flip off BLM cars or whatever, and it doesn't make me feel good, and it doesn't lead to anything positive.
Yeah.
So instead, I'd rather like just talk to people and see why they believe what they believe. Because I find that a lot more interesting, where it's like I said, most of these people who believe in socialism, they just believe in people being nice to each other and sharing. I'm like, we could all agree with that. But then I also know that the reality of the world is that, like I said, you get 10 people in a room, somebody's going to take advantage of that, which I almost want, because other than that, we're just zombies.
Yeah, and it's not even that with it. It's more like if you guys all get paid the same anyway, what's the incentive to work any harder? What's the incentive for growth and progress? There is none. And then eventually everyone starts lowering their amount of work they put in, and then it just spirals.
Entropy is the thing. Like, everything's going to wear out. You roll a wheel, it's going to slow down, unless it's going downhill. But even then, it'll run out of downhill eventually. So, yeah, you get everybody in the room, they're all making the same. Yeah, the work is going to start to suffer. Or some people's idea of work is going to change. Like, mine doesn't even stay the same day to day. Like you said, the idea of a clean room, one day it's like, clean room is that I made my bed, and that's about it. Another day, clean room is I'm washing the floorboards, I'm getting that speck of dust in the corner because it's been driving me nuts. So my idea of progress and 100% looks different every day. So the idea of somebody saying, like, everybody give their 100% every day for no compensation, it's like, I don't even do that to myself. How are you going to make me and a bunch of other people around me all believe the same thing?
Yeah, let alone 300 million people,
yeah, exactly.
330 million people in the U.S.
I even found myself like going from a job where you kind of get hourly to a job where your money depends on how well you work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it changes your whole mindset, because you're like, I actually want to work harder because I want to make more money.
That's part of the reason I got out of garage doors, is that I was sick of trading time and blood for money. I want to find a way to trade different aspects for money. Like, I want to trade something that that I can compound off of more, because I can only work so many hours in a day physically, which is fine. You can always, as you learn, you can charge more for your time, because you should realize that if you ever do an hourly, you are literally, it should be $1 more than how much you would pay yourself to stay home. So it's like, how much would you pay yourself to stay home? I'm like, okay, I'll pay myself $20 to stay home today or something like that. Cool. So if somebody's going to make me get out of my home and go do something, they better at least be at 21, because you're buying my time from me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I use my time really well and do stuff productive. Other times I watch YouTube videos all day. But having that mindset about it, it's like I'm providing so much value, and you're paying for my time. Or like you said, I'm like you as a bartender, I'm creating something more than just what is here. Like, essentially, you can have a monkey running around giving drinks. It's probably not a real monkey, but like you don't need some degree of like skill to run drinks, but the
Just
connection.
a regular old Neanderthal will do.
But like mixing drinks and connecting with people and giving the air that the bar wants. That makes up for a huge difference, and these are these are skills you can adapt to. And
People come back to that.
Yeah, it's a feeling people like.
Exactly.
The value is in the feeling and how they felt while they were there.
Yeah, totally. I mean, bars have never really been about the alcohol. It's always been about the people there. Yeah, exactly. It's most things are like that. I mean,
That's how Starbucks was too.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
the exact thing. Doing something similar, a lot less drinks, but same thing. You're at a bar, you're making drinks for people, and giving them that experience, or drive-through or whatever.
I mean, that's really what we buy when we buy anything. We buy convenience and experience. I mean, a movie's not any better in the theater than if I wait a little bit longer and it comes out.
But the experience of the theater.
It's a lot of fun.
The
You go
popcorn.
there, the full big screen, the sound system.
The speed of Chick-fil-A drive-thrus. They could charge more than anyone else around, and they likely do. But we're going to pay it because it's just so nice.
I always find it so
And they're
funny.
all awesome.
Yeah. I always find it funny
My
when people
pleasure.
complain about stuff like drive-thrus and stuff like that, because I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
are you serious? Like,
That's because they haven't been on the inside.
I guess. I haven't been on
Dad.
the inside either, but I can recognize Gag.
No, our dad.
Oh,
Just call him out right on the podcast.
Yeah,
Listen up, man.
he always has issues with like fast food places.
But he's done fast food. The reason why he complains is because he's done it, and he's been there, and he knows that they're a lot of times not doing what they could be.
Yeah,
but he
of
also
course.
holds himself to a higher standard now than he used to, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So it's,
well, that's
how it is with
I just
anyone.
think it's
Hopefully,
funny.
if you're doing it right.
Sure.
It is pretty funny, though.
Yeah.
well, that's part of being like a good, like being.
I think he's
starting
just
to
getting
value
old
your
and
time.
senile.
Probably. He's 40.
She's right upstairs. But like, when you start holding yourself to a higher standard, you do just start holding higher standards. It's like I always wondered why there's different types of wealthy people. There's the wealthy person who goes out there and buys the flashy car and shows off their wealth. Then there's the other wealthy person who walks around in jeans and a t-shirt, And it's
Depends on the generation of wealth
You think so? Like the age?
and how hard they worked for it. No, not the age, the generation of wealth. So
Like,
wealth usually runs out in 3 generations. Usually lasts 3 generations, and that's it. The kids appreciate it, but they still spend some, and then the grandkids don't care.
yeah, because they've just always had it.
They've never had to work for it.
That's what's been interesting about my brother, my littlest brother,
Yeah.
is seeing, like when I'm able to look from his eyes at the world he grew up in, because it's 180 degrees different from the world I grew up in.
Yeah.
And so to see like things that are completely unreasonable to him, they're like, dude, that's a benefit. Like that's awesome that you can do that. You get that thing. But to him, it's a downgrade or something like that. It's like he's like, I only get to play Xbox for 1 hour today. I'm like, dude, growing up,
You get an hour a day?
Yeah, I'm like, we didn't have an Xbox. I went to my neighbors. I would go to my friend's house because they had an N64, and I'd have to wait for his brothers to give me a turn.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a different. It feels like we've grown up in 2 different worlds, but we've grown up in the same household.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's perspective is going to be different, though.
That's how it'll be for our kids, too. The first versus the fourth, or whatever.
Yeah.
First versus the last.
Yeah.
It'll always be something.
It's always going to change, and you can't really help it.
Yeah. So you're your self-discipline, I'm going to pop a little bit back to the political side of things.
Yeah.
Have you done any like special learning or anything that way? You talked about the 13 principles. I know he talks a lot about politics.
Yeah.
Do you dabble in any of that? Try to learn any of it? I know I have not done my fair share of any of that.
Yes and no. A lot of my learning's been through Rod.
Oh, okay.
Rod has really, I pick his brain.
Is he politically active? He was or is a police officer, correct?
Yeah, but
Sort
was
of.
job-wise, still is mind-wise. He's still
Okay.
he's still a cop in the mindset.
Okay.
You can see it when you talk to him and the way he is. Does he work at a police office right now? No, but
He still upholds his oath to the Constitution.
if anything, harder now.
Fantastic.
But yeah, he's really taught me a lot. I've done a few classes here and there, like the David Strait. I went through a course with him. I don't know if you guys know who he is. But, he talks. His stuff is all about becoming a state national and kind of a different way to look at the government and the politics and that stuff. And that's a lot of work to get to that point. The tagline is basically that if you do this, say you're driving down the road and a cop pulls you over and drives some registration, you go, "These are my traveling papers," and you hand him your passport. He looks at the passport, hands it back, says, "Have a nice day," and he can't give you a ticket because you're a state national. Pretty good hook, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot that goes into it, and
Is that like one of those sovereign citizen kind of things?
exactly. It's the same thing. It's like a lot of the big wigs they get this way because it kind of puts you above the law in a way. Not really. It's in a way you're below the law because the law is this weird thing where it's the government the company of the United States tries to own America, but the country of the United States, you become a citizen of that versus a citizen of the company of the United States. Definitely not doing it justice. Have Rodney on; he would be able to talk about it a lot better than I am. But
We might have to.
Yeah.
I don't know him very well, and I don't know how to
I
contact him. But does he live right over here?
yeah, he lives he still lives in Riverton.
Is that
Oh, okay.
Big Rod or
Yeah,
Sun Rod?
Sunrod.
Rod Jr.
He works at Fash, right?
No, right now he's doing construction.
He's a thick guy. He's a construction man.
Is he?
Definitely.
Like Derek Odin's brother and Odin's brother.
We can contact him somehow.
Yeah, I talk to him all the
We'll
time.
figure
I'm
it
happy
out.
to give you guys stuff. He'd be good to talk because he's been the one who's really helped educate me through politics because he's always loved history. And people who are into politics, they know their history and they respect it and they understand what the founding fathers had in mind. And so
It's his story.
herstory, whatever. It's story.
Oh boy. Wimmickson.
Yeah.
A women.
Yeah, women. There's a funny thing about that where amen doesn't mean men. It means I agree, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
It just sounds like men.
Yes.
Just like human. It's like, it doesn't mean human, and you don't have to say woman.
Yeah.
But that's why people started saying mankind and man, just because it was easier to say than human. But,
Herman. Oh boy.
but with politics, for me, I've definitely learning more of what the founding fathers had in mind started to give me a perspective change. As for research and looking into it stuff, I haven't done a whole lot. I've done Benjamin Franklin's autobiography, which is good, and he actually talks about habits in that one too and self-discipline in that one. He
Didn't he do 2-week cycles or something? I thought he focused on something, a habit for 2 weeks at a time, or maybe even a week at a time, and then would just go from there. And he'd have 10 or something he would cycle through.
Yeah, that
Just
sounds
do that.
sounds right. I remember there was something about a book. He got a book and he wrote down all his habits. I don't know if it's all his good habits, all his bad habits, just all his habits. And then he focused on one per week or per 2 weeks or something like that. And I don't remember if he was writing something down, but one of the keys to growth is to record it because you can't see where you are if you don't know where you've been. So I know that was a big thing for him. He has some good stuff about self-discipline.
Yeah, one of my favorite things, my favorite piece of advice I was given one time was, you've got your goals list. That's your, practicing your discipline to get those goals done. But don't forget to write down over the past 5 years what goals you've completed on that list and check them off and see how far you've come. Because otherwise it's always going to be that carrot rather than enjoying part of the carrot and seeing a bigger one down the road.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's I wish I would have heard that advice, or at least taken it to heart, because I've struggled with that one.
Well, there you go.
Thanks. Cool. Are we done now? I can leave.
Yeah, you're good to go. That's the secret to life.
Yeah, the secret to success, though, is consistent work. So
Okay.
yeah, if you just can consistently work, like that's the secret to success in anything. Even if you're say your goal is to end up in prison, just keep on stilling and keep on stilling. You'll end up in prison. You'll get your success.
Yeah, that's true.
Just keep on doing it, and you'll end where that habit's going to take
I mean,
you.
you could just say no to the law one time and you're good to go. Then you just get to sit back and wait, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, the ultimate authority behind the law is a gun. So right before that is prison.
I get what you're saying, and I agree, but the actually authority behind the law is manpower. Because if it's just a gun, I can get a gun and shoot it. The Second Amendment protects that it's not just a gun. But obviously, besides the moral and legal implications, but like, if a cop comes up and you shoot the cop, it doesn't matter what gun he had. You outgunned him. The problem is that there's going to be another cop and another, and they're not just going to come in ones and twos. They're going to come in force. So it's the amount of people. That's always what government's been wrapped around, though. It's like Frederick Bastiat's The Law. Have you guys looked into that one? That's a good one. He was a French writer who wrote during the French Revolution, because you talked a lot about that. And one of the things he mentions in there is that if it's not okay for one person to do it to another, it's not okay for 10 people to do it to another. Because that was the idea behind republics and democracies, is it's a majority rule. Mm-hmm. Well, Noah, if it's not okay for me to beat you up and take your money, then why would it be okay if all four of us decide that we're going to beat you up and take your money? Mm-hmm. But that's what democracy has become now, where it's like, this isn't right, but if we all agree, or if the majority of the people in this room agree that it's right, then it suddenly is right. Well, then you're just back to might makes right, and then it's just the bigger group wins.
Right. And I should specify that point more. The ultimate authority behind the law isn't necessarily a gun, but it is lethal force.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the end game,
Well, and that's
if they need to, kind of thing.
No, and it totally is. And
otherwise, manpower or no, you're like, I'm not gonna die. Screw you.
Well, and that's part of being what a society is, because like I try to have the perspective of either apocalypse or caveman days. It's like everything I do is a pre-learned habit, pretty much. Like the only things that I do, like that I would do if I was born now or a million years ago or a million years in the future, is like breathe, pee, blink. Like these are the only things I naturally do. Speaking, all this other stuff is learned habits from the world around me. But like in order to join society, generally you have to give up something. So if you're a nomad walking in the world, you can be as dangerous as you want. But when you choose to join a society, you choose to give up your violence. You choose to give up your force. And that's really what the government does. Is it basically has a monopoly on force. So that way so basically it's like, yeah, I can't go and beat somebody up because they piss me off. But that also means that somebody can't come beat me up because I pissed them off. Everybody gives up their force to join this bigger collective of a government. And so the problem is that the people who have control over that force, they lose the idea of stewardship. And they start thinking, I have access to all this force, so I must do something with it. It's like, idleness is the devil's plaything.
That's where our authority over our own Second Amendment comes in handy.
Yeah, because it's supposed to help.
As far as the extremes go.
Yeah, exactly. Because, an armed society is a polite society.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, it's when you join society, you do have to give something up. Usually you benefit. It's just like self-discipline. I'm going to give up this sugar, or I'm going to give up this TV time for benefits down the road. I'm going to give up my TV time and read a book now, but the benefits I get will way outweigh the TV I would have got. Mm-hmm. Government is the same, or at least our government is built on the same idea. I'm going to give up my force and a certain level of, I don't want to say freedom because you get more autonomy. Mm-hmm. You give up a certain level of autonomy, but you get more down the road where suddenly I could travel 10 miles on my own, but now that I give up a certain level of autonomy, now I have access to roads and I can do 100 miles on my own. So I've given up certain aspects for a greater aspect. I've given up my personal force to an extent, but that also means that my country, my larger area is protected, or at least that's how it's supposed to be.
Right. And they're ultimately supposed to be adherent to the Constitution, which is above all, from what I understand. Yeah. Obviously, they can change it and stuff, but it's ultimately they're supposed to follow that.
Well, and that's the funny thing is a lot of people like, oh yeah, videos. I watch a lot of videos of like political stuff. That's where I've been getting a lot of my information lately. But like one of the main things that people don't seem to understand, or probably not you guys, but a lot of people that you talk to, is that they don't understand that the Constitution was not written as a set of rules for the people and the government. The Constitution was written for the government. It's a limiter on what the government can do.
Yeah, it wasn't limiting the people.
Exactly, and a lot of people see it the other way.
Doesn't it specifically outline that we have any rights not heretofore made explicit by the Bill of Rights, essentially?
I'm not.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, that'd be a good one to look up because I'm not 100% sure. I'm definitely not. I don't know the Constitution by heart, but in my mind,
I would like to read it.
The Constitution was supposed to be this foundation. Like we set these certain inalienable rights, like these rights that you're born with. Like as soon as I'm born, I start screaming and crying and yelling. Well, there's my right to free speech. I can yell whatever I want. Nobody can make me shut up. It's like the only thing they didn't throw in there is the right to think your own thoughts. Like
that sounds absurd.
It does sound absurd, right? But now we're at a point where like there's so much propaganda around there. A lot of people don't think their own thoughts. They're programmed with schooling, with literal Pavlov's dog shit, where it's like TikTok. It literally operates where it's a word click. You get a stimulus and response, and you start getting programmed for these things, and so they can start brainwashing you. And so
I hate TikTok.
Me too.
It's so freaking addictive. Like as far as addictiveness goes, that is high on there.
The social media is bad. Like
they perfected it in TikTok.
Well, yeah,
it's terrible. And the little like small short videos, Vine had it, and poor things.
Yeah, that's.
And I do want to just real quick go back to that. It is the 10th Amendment. It says the amendment that stipulates that all powers not given to the federal government are reserved to the states or the people.
Yeah, see, to me that's perfect right there. It pretty much should be as long as you don't hurt anybody or take someone else's rights, you can do whatever the hell you want. That's how it's supposed to be. But then people started getting worried about basically the people who thought outside the box. That scares them because anybody who likes security and stuff, people on the outside of the box are terrifying because they're going to shatter their box. They might do something that will affect them.
Oh yeah,
they don't have a proper understanding. Like I was talking to this one lady about. We were talking about a ski resort, and she was saying that her son is a really great skier. He's like doing all these tricks down the slopes and all this stuff. And then she says like, yeah, but every once in a while he gets pulled over by the ski patrol. And I was like, wait, I thought the ski patrol was pretty much there just to help people when they fall or get stuck or get hurt.
No, they've oppressed me.
Yeah, apparently they're full on cops on the road.
Yeah,
on the resort, and I'm like,
they are.
That's bullshit. Because it's like if I get on the ski resort, I should be able to ski or board how I want to. Because the only person I can really hurt is me. She's like, well, what if you, like, I knew this one person who ran into another old lady. And I'm like,
so?
You're falling down a mountain with straps of wood tied to your feet. Like, there's an inherent sense of risk when you choose to go skiing.
With other people speeding past you doing the same thing. Yeah.
To me, all these rules and these regulations, they just make for a less aware populace. Like these cars that are, like, I love technology. Technology's great. But these cars that have, like, the detections for the brake detections and the blindside detections and all this stuff. And, like, it just makes for drivers who don't have those habits now. Now they're not going to check their blind spots. So if that device ever fails, they're running blind almost.
It's making people lazy and submissive.
It really does make you submissive. There's a certain level of, make ease where you can make ease, but don't let the ease make you.
Yeah.
But it's the balance between that and the natural progression of capitalism.
Yeah, totally.
In most cases. A lot of it's government subsidized, which sucks, but
yeah,
it also does promote that.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of idea of things becoming too big to fail. Where it's like if Hyundai, if nobody was responsible for their stuff, and Hyundai's cars turns out that fail-safe thing starts failing, and people keep getting in these crashes. Usually in a truly capitalist society, they would get a super bad blowback.
Yeah, they would go out of business,
it could
potentially.
shut them out of business. But then, or even Toyota or Honda, like a real staple of the car industry. But then because that's like, whoa, you can't just take away like a staple of the car industry. Like things are too big to fail.
You're going to lose 30,000 jobs.
Yeah, exactly. They're afraid to deal with the repercussions of growth because, growth doesn't just come when you win. Growth comes more when you lose. Mm-hmm. When you try to control that, you're just going to end up with a bunch of really bad things that don't work. But then all these rules on top of it that people think makes it work, but it just makes things worse in the long run.
Yeah. Bailouts. That's the too big to fail.
Yeah,
It's the creature from Jekyll Island.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's a good book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yet
but
another thing discouraging self-discipline and company-wide self-discipline.
But it's so human. Because, think about the kids that you knew that were spoiled kids growing up. They didn't get a fail growing up. They got everything that they wanted, and they always got it well. They never really truly experienced failure. And
Which sucks because now they're floundering.
Yeah.
Their parents are just bad parents.
Yeah, it can really damage someone's life if they're not allowed to really fail and learn that way. It's like, I heard this one thing pretty recently that I loved. It's that, trees start from a small seed, right? That seed doesn't grow up in sunshine and water. Well, it does grow. It uses these things, but when the seed starts, before it's a big tree, it starts in the dark and it starts covered with a lot of weight on it. Mm-hmm. That's where it really starts to grow. Mm-hmm. And then eventually it gets out, and then it truly starts to blossom. That's how life is. That's how self-discipline is too. Is you start and it's really fucking hard.
Yeah.
It's like you wake up and you're like, I'm gonna go running this morning, and I don't want to go running, and all of a sudden it's really hard. It's cold and it's really hard to get started. But after a while, I found that I wake up and I don't go running for whatever reason. I feel like my day's just off. Like I'm missing something. I feel slower. I feel behind today. And these habits start to benefit you. They know that you plant the seed. It's hard at first, grows. You have to nurture it. But then once it blossoms into a tree, then you can just start picking the fruit. And then it's just there. And it's great. Mm-hmm. It drops seeds and plants other good habits.
There's this story that I heard once about, it's not a real story, but this princess who got sheltered right in the castle her whole entire life. Mm-hmm. Never anything bad happened to her for the whole time. Mm-hmm. And when obviously she got curious, so she jumped over the walls to see what life was like.
Yeah.
And for so long she had only seen good stuff that when she saw the outside world and how bad it was, she committed suicide.
Sounds like Tangled, but a scary version.
Yeah. Is that the German version of Tangled?
I don't know. I don't remember where I heard it, but yeah, she committed suicide because she couldn't handle it. Because she went through her whole life just perfect, nothing bad, not a scratch. And when she saw how other people are suffering and how bad life can be, it just overwhelmed her.
Trees will do that. They've grown trees in biodomes before, and once they get tall enough, they just tip over. Because they don't have the wind that makes them grow strong roots. So they just fall over.
Wow.
Yeah. You need to deal with a little bit of pain and suffering in your life, or you're not going to be able to handle it when it comes.
Even the self-imposed kind. Stay hard.
Stay hard.
I'm
good old Goggins.
I like that stuff. I'm totally. A lot of the times I think, damn, am I a masochist? I specifically do things the hard way, but it's because I've gotten so much out of them. It's
fun to push yourself.
Very
really
familiar with that.
Yeah.
Test your limits.
To me, the art is finding the balance of loving and appreciating and encouraging yourself, but then making it difficult for yourself. Because it's really easy to make it difficult for yourself and beat yourself up to, come on, you pussy, push a little harder, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But, you got to give the feather and the rod kind of thing. It's you got to be nice to yourself too and encourage it. I've had times where I've pushed my body so much that I try to push it again one more time and it doesn't respond like it should. And I'm like, what the hell? It's because I literally ruined that trust with my body. It's it doesn't trust that I'll just push it a little bit harder anymore. So
right, because then it's going to be more and more and more.
Exactly. So you need to give yourself those rewards. So
keep your promises to yourself.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, think about it. That's actually where self-confidence comes from. Self-confidence isn't just it's having confidence in yourself. It's having confidence that yourself is going to give up what's promised.
Yeah.
So it's really self-confidence is the same as self-trust.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah.
Dadgummit. Just kidding.
Yeah. I remember thinking that. I was like, well, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I always thought self-confidence had something to do with the way you thought about yourself. And in a sense it does, but I always thought confidence came from a sense of
the root of that is definitely
but
what you're talking about.
And then at one point I realized that the root of it is the trust in myself. Because I remember, especially once I started exercising and getting the rewards of the exercise I put in, having the nice body and the nice car and all this fun stuff, And I look around and I still saw cute girls with ugly ass guys, and I was like, what the fuck is happening?
What is wrong here?
Yeah, I'm like, I have my full math equation is there, but I was missing that self-confidence part. And so those people, they have that, because like in a way the people who don't try to push themselves, they just work on the self-confidence. They start to know themselves and trust themselves to do certain things. Like what's the Jack Sparrow thing? You can always trust a liar. It's the same kind of thing with their own mindsets, where they just start to trust that they're going to do these things. They almost like accept the shitty parts of themselves. And to me, it comes a little victim-y sometimes, where it's like, oh, I'm just a fat guy, so I'll always be a fat guy. Well, that's fine, because now they trust that they are that. They're not trying to change who they are, and then that can actually build self-confidence, because now, oh no, I am this way. So I trust that I'm this way. I trust that I can do these things. And so you can build self-confidence through, like, kind of through shitty confidence kind of thing, you know?
Just accept who you are.
Oh, yeah. I always heard it growing up in, like, cartoons, like, just be yourself, accept who you are. And
Nah.
Yeah, exactly. I was
No.
like, but I want to get better. Like,
I like Jordan Peterson's way. No, you're imperfect. You got 60 years left to go.
You look in the mirror and you see this ugly piece of shit. Fuck.
I mean, who are you? just to prove. Make your bed.
Jordan Peterson stuff is so good.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
It always makes me wonder, like, how many people do you think you see in the day-to-day that, like, you've watched, like, the same Jordan Peterson stuff, or, like, some of these really popular things where you're like, man, this guy's right on. Yeah, I totally agree with it. And you see these people, and, like, you guys could see the same thing and have the same belief, and you walk right past each other, you know?
Yeah.
And there's so many of these people, like I said, there's so many people out there believe these things, but you think you're alone. You think, like, I'm the only one listening to Jordan Peterson who really knows that this guy's on his shit. But then also his videos have like 2 million views, but you can also still get, at least I've gotten in my head where I'm like, am I the only one trying to better myself, you know? But
that's why we're here. We want to find more people who are bettering themselves and bring them on. That's part of it, you know?
Yeah, no, I love it. I love seeing people work to better themselves. It's a lot of fun. And in a way, I've gotten to the point where just because I try to flip the way I think as much as possible. But, like, I'll see somebody engaging in bad habits, and I'm like, cool, they're becoming a better criminal. Or they're becoming a better piece of shit.
Good on you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they're putting in hard work in something. Like, wow, you're just playing video games and eating food all day. Wow, you're becoming an even better, lazy piece of shit. That's awesome. Like, way to go, man. Like, I see it for what they've done, and I'm like, you may see it as an accident, but I've seen all the hard work you've put into this. I've seen the hard work of you choosing not to get up, or you chose to eat those Doritos for the 10th time in a row. That should be commended. That's impressive.
I'm going to give you a medal.
Yeah, for real.
You are choosing to be sick.
Because to me, that's part of taking ownership of it. It's like, let's see, I'm trying to think of what one of my worst habits is, but like, say smoking. Like, instead of thinking like, oh, I really hate that I smoke. I shouldn't be smoking. I'm be like, I'm a pretty good smoker. I've been working at it for a lot of years. Because it's a habit I've worked on. I'm not going to relinquish it to something else. I've chosen this. I've done all the actions to have this habit. I'm not going to just give it away as some random thing that happened. No, I earned this, damn it. Like, I earned these blackened lungs. But when the blackened lungs start being a pain in the ass, it's like, well, maybe what'll happen if I have healthy lungs? You know, like, what else can I earn and stuff like this? So, because then you see what you've done, and you see it becomes almost emotionless, where this isn't a bad habit. This is just the effect of this cause. Yeah. So the cause is smoking. The effect is that I short on breath, and I can't really breathe well, and I hack up my lungs every morning or when I take a shower. Cool. Those are just the results of what I've created. Do I like those results? Not really. Cool. Let's do something else and see what those results are. Let's try smoking crack. How are those results? Oh, wow, those are way worse. Let's try not smoking. Oh, wow, this works pretty well. You know, it's when you take the emotion out of it and you stop trying to figure out what's right and wrong, and you just find out what works and doesn't work, I think self-improvement becomes a lot easier. Because then because what works for one person is not going to work for the other. Like, for me, apparently staring at a candle really helps my self-discipline. Someone else, that might not be it, but maybe them.
Cold showers.
Yeah, see, cold showers work for you. So it's all about finding what works and what works well for you, and then capitalizing on those things and keep on doing them. And don't beat yourself up for the bad habits you have. Take pride that you've earned those bad habits and see why you've chosen to have them.
Yeah. I've tasted hell.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like one of those mindsets that I'm seeing that the wealthy people have is it's always better. Like they have these amazing houses and these amazing things and all this stuff. And you're like, why do you still work, man? You won. Like the same argument, like somebody's at the gym.
You don't have to work. Why?
Yeah, so you see a person with a six-pack doing crunches, you're like, why? You've already got the six-pack. Like, give up. Like, go do a model.
I tried to ask a guy how he got a six-pack the other day. He didn't speak English, though.
It's diet.
He thought I was trying to take his machine. He got a little upset. I was like, no, dude, you're freaking ab. How do you do it? It's like, nah, just machines.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Diet's huge.
Total side note.
Mm-hmm. I think it's an inverse thing. Like, for guys, I think the 80-20 part of it is like it's 80% diet and 20% hard work. But the hard work is a lot easier for guys. It's easier to go do like 30 crunches than it is to choose a salad over a burger. But for women, I think it actually tends to be the opposite. Because it's easier for them to eat healthy. It's harder for them to go and put in the hard work. So I need to talk to some women about that. But
why do you think that is?
I'm starting to develop this thought that it's the opposite of what you think that is going to help you. Like you
Oh,
said,
right. Like guys are all, let's freaking eat meat. Let's eat protein. All this stuff.
Well, and even I think this might be a principle of
Get
life.
ripped.
Like you're talking about self-discipline and doing that. The harder you are on the outside, I think leads to a easier, more relaxed version on the inside. And so like the opposite, then you have these people who they live a really easy life. It's cushy. They go to a normal job that they make money at, and they come home and they watch TV and they're really relaxed. On the outside, they're really soft, but on the inside, everything's really hard. They're really struggling. They're really suffering. Mm-hmm. Versus some of the best, happiest people I've ever met, they've actually switched it. Their outside world is really hard. They're always working. They're always moving. It's difficult. But on the inside, they found some really nice, soft, flowy inner peace. So to me, it's like there's an inverse between it. And that's what I think is...
You will find freedom through suffering.
Yeah, exactly. And
that's what the Nazis told the Jews.
Yeah. That's fucked up.
I know.
It's a Buddhist saying, though, right?
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it because it is the reality, but the way that they used it was definitely
it's
not the right way.
No.
Yeah, no. Any useful tool can be used to harm or hurt.
I am going to double check that though.
Yeah. I believe it.
See what their actual words were.
Learn it in German and then it'll sound more authentic.
Yes.
I mean, they technically do find ultimate freedom, right?
Yeah, that's what Viktor Frankl's book is all about. The Man's Search for Meaning. That's what his book is about, is how he developed. Like at one point in the book, he talks about enjoying a sunrise in Auschwitz. And you're like, that's crazy. Like you're in arguably the worst place in the world at that moment. Mm-hmm. And you're enjoying the sunrise. Like there's people who wake up in mansions and walk right past the sunrise.
Right.
So it's... Yeah. I forgot where I was going with that one.
Hey, what'd you find?
Still looking. Give me 1 sec.
Yeah, so the whole idea of always trying to look forward, and you're never looking past to where you're never happy. Essentially, you're never happy with your progress. That's how it is at the gym, because we go every morning, and twice a day except for Mondays because we do the whole podcasting thing. But like today, I dropped the weights because it's just too heavy.
Yeah.
And so you're fresh and you get pissed off, but then you remember like, oh, I started and I could barely squat 25s on each side, and now I'm doing 200 plus pounds. So yeah, I don't really know where I'm going with that either, but
I
it's
get what you're saying.
It's kind of cool to see.
And
it's
for
like
me,
the progress.
The realization I've just kind of had recently, because I've been the same way for years and years of my life, is that like I don't go to the gym to be happy. I'm happy, so I go to the gym. Okay. Because if I'm going to the gym to be happy, I'm just gonna get frustrated when I don't get my reward.
Right.
But it should be more of like I'm happy, and so therefore I go to the gym because that helps me feel happy as well. And I want to encourage myself with positive reinforcement versus the negative reinforcement of I have to go to the gym or else I'm going to feel like a lazy piece of shit. And so I've been working hard on this one for a long time because I've made great strides with that mindset. I do think some people need to learn that mindset of, I need to go here and I need to put in the hard work and I need to do it. And you're right, like look back at it as well. But part of it is it's in the journey. It's not the destination of it. You definitely want to enjoy, like if you're doing it and it's not making you happy and you keep on doing it and keep on doing it, you're going to get half the results you would get. It's like, you guys ever heard about eating a meal and appreciating it versus just eating it? Mm-hmm. So eat a meal, and instead of like looking at your phone or watching TV or just scarfing the food down, actually taste everything and really appreciate the meal. It's like to me, like getting the love out of the food, right? And then I have no data to support this, but I fully believe it. But it's your body actually appreciates the nutrients more because you're truly appreciating the meal and putting it in, and your body's like, oh, cool, we like this. This is good for us. So it starts converting it sooner. And I found that's true in life, where it's like, if I really enjoy doing this thing, then I get the best benefits out of it, and I get the positive affirmation as well.
Right.
So it can be a subtle mind shift, and you have to find what works for you. Because some people, the best part of working out is when you get home and you're exhausted.
Yeah.
Some people, the best part of working out is that pre-workout. They get that pump, and they get there, then they just put in the hard work, they're tired, whatever. Some people, it's the actual improvement of like, I could lift 100, now I can lift 200 pounds. So find what works for you, but I think find something that makes you happy while doing it, and don't keep chasing that stick to be happy, because it's not in the getting, it's in the doing. Like what is it? Be, have, do. Yeah. So in society, we're told that if we do this and we have this, then we'll be this. Mm-hmm. If you do go to the gym, you'll have a six pack and you'll be happy. But life doesn't work that way. It's the opposite. If you be happy and you have then you're willing to do the work to make a six pack, you'll have it. And it's like, you want to be the thing first. That's one of the reasons that's encouraged me to focus on my mindset about money versus the actual just work. Because I could go find another job and put in hours and hours and hours. And that'd be fine. But I really want to change the being of it. I really want to think like a millionaire, and act like one. And in being that way long enough, basically, kind of going back to the Goggins thing, either I'm gonna be so stubborn that the world is either gonna have to change and things are gonna come my way to make me a millionaire, or I'm just gonna die. Yeah. But one of these two is gonna happen, and because I'm not gonna give up. I'm just gonna keep on doing it until I get what I want.
Well, and putting stuff out in the world, naturally it does come back.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm a firm believer in. So I mean, if you believe you're already in the millionaire mindset, it will come naturally.
Yeah, totally. And I fully believe that. I mean, to me, it's almost ridiculous that we can have this woke culture, but I still feel the need to say things like, oh no, I believe this, but you don't have to. Or it's like, I know it's kind of weird, but the vibrations you put out come back to you. I'm like, we live in a culture where people are all about woke. I'm sick of taking a back seat to that stuff. I'm like, no, the vibrations you put out come back. Mm-hmm. That's just a fact at this point. It's you can prove it through all sorts of physics too. These are cold hard truths now.
I mean, they've done studies on like plants and stuff.
Yeah.
Like where they give, I don't know, good energy or whatever, and like speak positive words to it, and then be negative to another plant, and one will flourish, the other one will just die off essentially.
Yeah. Have you heard about the rice one where they did that too? They just got bowls of rice, and then they just put words on them, like happiness, joy, hate, anger, vice, or all these things. And they actually, certain vibrations worked better, and the rice stayed fresher in some bowls, and some it decayed really, really quick. So there's actual studies about that. And there's actually a book called Power versus Force. He actually lists the things in like highest vibration to lowest vibration.
I found it.
Okay.
Finally. It wasn't exactly as I said, obviously. But the actual saying is that work sets you free, not suffering.
Which is also a true statement.
Yeah, it just says work sets you free. And this is what they would post above a lot of the concentration camps.
What, work yourself to death?
Yeah, it would technically set them free.
What the fuck?
But
I mean, they got a point, but
it's all in the perspective. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I wouldn't say Viktor Frankl enjoyed it necessarily.
No.
But yeah, he was able to find a very interesting perspective on it all. Mm-hmm. You know, it was All right. You know what? I'm not. No. I was gonna say I met a guy once. He's like, yeah, the whole Nazi thing was faked. Most of it.
Or the
Just
Holocaust.
the Holocaust, and I was just like, no. He explained all of it, and I was
Don't go down that
no,
path.
I'm not going down that path. No, I didn't even go down that path with him. I was like, oh, really? That's nice.
I'm always curious. I'm curious because I've heard about Holocaust deniers, and I'm always curious about what they're basing it off. Because I used to laugh at flat earthers until I learned why they're flat earthers, like what the mindset behind that is.
Well, yeah, and then you can be like, oh, I understand. Here, let me show you why it's not flat. You know?
To me, the question is like, how do you really know? Because everything you know about around Earth, at least this is my interpretation. If there's a flat earther, come fucking talk to me. I don't care. But my understanding of the whole flat earther thing, at least how I've taken it, is you don't know. You've never seen the Earth. You've never been in space. You've seen pictures. You've seen that. But we know how much documentation can be forged.
This is a tangent, but I am going to just explain this to you very quickly. The easiest way that I know is that whenever you fly a long distance, you fly in an arc up in the northern hemisphere, you fly an arc down in the southern hemisphere. That's because the distance itself is shorter doing that on a rounded surface. If you were to go straight across, it would cost more in gas. So the fact that we fly up means it's a shorter distance and it's less money.
That's totally better than my justification.
Yeah.
For it.
So that's the first one of many that one could do potentially.
Yeah.
But
I am not a flat earther, just to put it out there. I'm not.
But for those who are flat earthers out there, just think about it.
Food for thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I always just heard it was, you can't trust everything you hear. That was the main takeaway.
Which I love.
Me too.
Don't trust anything you hear until you know.
And your thing about the hemispheres makes a lot more sense. Because I threw water in the air and it made a circle. And I thought, okay, things natural form a circle.
There you go. That
Just
works.
look at the moon. Like, yeah, that's a circle. So,
But it's a flat circle, dog.
oh, God.
It's a plate.
So you're saying space is a blanket and they just poked holes?
I mean, it's
Yeah, duh.
it's only a flat circle for 2 days out of the month. The rest of the time, it's like not quite.
Yeah, but then it's covered by our flat circle.
You don't know that. I mean, have you ever I love doing this, like especially on a clear night where you look up at the moon and you try to see the part in the dark side.
Yeah,
of the moon.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can never really see it. Like my brain can make the completion of the circle.
Yeah, but you're not necessarily seeing it.
Exactly. It's like I feel like my brain is filling in the slots versus actually seeing the dark side of the moon. It's
Yes.
kind of messes with my head sometimes. Where it's like, I need to stop staring at moons.
All right, this tangent is over. Eli be staring at some moons out here.
I already do that.
I think every guy does that.
Yeah. You guys ever find yourself staying up late on full moons? Like, you're like, I just cannot fall asleep.
Yeah.
And then like halfway through the night, you realize like, why is it so bright?
No. Well, I sleep in a basement, so I don't have an issue with that.
Oh yeah.
I might have an issue with it if I were upstairs,
No, that's true.
able to see the light.
I'm curious if it's a energetic thing or because the moon doesn't change size; it's always the same. It's just the light reflecting off it. So it makes sense with windows. I'm not so sure about
I think it is an energy thing. They actually did studies. More crimes happen
Yeah, I was about
on
to say
a
that.
full moon than
You
any
can also
other.
see better on a full
I think
moon
that's
in
exactly
the dark,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
it could definitely be an energy thing.
Halloween. A lot of crimes happen on Halloween too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, everyone's
Everybody's
dressed up.
yeah.
People wearing masks.
Sounds familiar.
I wonder what type of crime is more common on Halloween,
That would be an interesting one to find out.
because that'll probably point you in the right direction.
My understanding is it was just holidays. Holidays in general, crime spikes.
That's true.
I think not Christmas, but like Thanksgiving. That's a big holiday for breaking and enterings because people go out to visit the family. So unless if somebody has a bunch of cars at their house, not that house. But if there's no cars at a house, there's no lights on. That's the house they want to break and enter because the people are most likely out of town or at grandma's house.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna be gone from your house, setting automatic lights, having people show up, and like one of the signs is get your mail, because if you're gonna be gone for a while, ask a neighbor to come get your mail, because all somebody needs to do is like say
Just look in your mailbox.
yeah,
Oh,
like
it's
somebody
full.
could just be driving around the neighborhood just like looking in mailboxes, or even just walking their dog or jogging, looking in mailboxes. They see a mailbox that has a few days worth of letters,
Mm-hmm.
and they go, okay, they're not home, and then they can come in later that night and they know nobody's been home for a while.
Interesting.
The thieves get smart. Like I said, they should be awarded for their They work. They
Criminals
work
are
hard.
very intelligent.
They do, 'cause-
Drug dealers are. I've met some really. I'm incriminating myself. I've met some
I just told
really
everybody how to
intelligent-
break and enter. Don't worry.
Yes, and play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
That's true. The risk is very high.
Well, if you
High
think
reward.
about it, the police, the crime system right now encourages better criminals. Because the bad criminals get caught. And what do you do when you get caught? You go hang out with other criminals and learn better trade secrets. It's like being rewarded every time it's like what we're saying, actually. This is where I'm like, things start being a principle. They lose, but they end up learning more. If you take away the perspective of good versus bad of being a criminal, and you get caught by the cops, and you go to prison, and you find, someone's like, what are you in here for? Like, oh, I tried to break and enter, and it was a cop's house. Like, I was like, oh, yeah. It's like, I can always tell it's a cop house by this and this and this. And you're like, oh, okay. And then you learn a few things. Yeah, then you get out, and you're like, wow, I'm going to break and enter some more because that worked really well. But now I'm way better at it.
Oh, prison would be bad. It would be like that meditation, just for ages. I mean, you got more electronics, but it would just be, that'd be
They actually do the meditation in prisons. Like, they had it there. I thought it was great because really...
That's where they had the event, was in a prison?
No, well...
Or they just do events in
They do
prisons
events
with
in prisons.
prisoners, all that jazz.
Yeah, because they have 10-day courses, 5-day courses, 30, 40-day courses, which I was like...
Holy shit.
You know.
That's a full Jesus cycle, in case any of you
Well,
all
it
are
is.
If you're
wondering.
doing that, just go to Tibet. Become a monk.
Yeah.
In a sense, it really is.
Does it cost money, this course?
No, it's completely donation-based.
People just go, you donate what you feel, and just go to
You
this.
donate at the end and be...
Where do you stay? Do you go home at night, or?
No, so they have a full-on campus. So the one we did is up in Lava Hot Springs, and it was it's just kind of like if you're driving by, it would just look like a farm with a few buildings in the back. But it has these two dormitories, which are just these small. So there's the men's dormitory and the women's dormitory, and it's just a room. It was like a 10 by 10 with a bathroom with a shower. So it was like
They do classes at all? Not really.
Not
you
really.
Just,
So I'll give you my full.
yeah, let's
full
hear
day plan.
purview of this
So you
self-disciplinary.
wake up at 4. That's the alarm bell is 4 a.m.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. So you wake up, get everything ready. The first meditation starts in the main meditation hall. Well, from 4:30 to 6:30, it says you can meditate in the meditation hall, which is a meditation hall, or meditate in your room, or sleep in.
Yeah.
Whatever. But so you do that. Then at 6:30 is breakfast. You wake up, you go have just oatmeal. They just fed us oatmeal every single bloody day. Then after
Is
that,
there sugary things in it?
you could add. They had honey and
Okay.
dates, I think. So
All right.
yeah. So
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
it wasn't too bad. They had some cereal there too, but it's like I needed something heavy on me.
Yeah.
So breakfast was 6:30 to 7:30. Yeah, and then you had a mandatory hour meditation in the meditation hall. So this was 7:30 to 8:30 or something like that. Then you had a little bit of a break, and then you had 2 hours of either meditate in the meditation hall or meditate in your own room. So there's like, it bounces back from like mandatory 1 hour in the meditation hall or voluntary 2 hours in the meditation hall. So then you go to lunch, which they'd always change the lunch, which was nice. Then after that, they'd have about an hour where you could like have a break, talk to the teacher, all this stuff, which they're not even teachers, they're assistant teachers. So there's about a 2 hour break with lunch and after it. Then a mandatory meditation, then another 2 hour, then the tea break, because you don't get dinner, but you get tea in the evenings. Then after that, you had another mandatory 1 hour, and then they had the class, which the class was basically just a video of the guy teaching it. He'd have like a 1 hour talk online, kind of like a Jordan Peterson video, really, where he just sits there and talks you through it. It's pretty entertaining. Kind of talks about what you're doing. And the meditations are guided through audio, so you're listening to this guy talk and sing and all this stuff, and he's guiding you through what you're doing with his meditation. After that, you would just head home, or not head home, but head back to your dormitory, sleep, lights out were like at 10.
Yeah, that's cool. So we could just, do you have to sign up or can you just go?
No, yeah, you sign up. It
for it.
It can be kind of hard to get in, my understanding. Or at least, I think men, it's easy because not a lot of men go, but it's definitely more women, for whatever reason, go.
Is there a special dress at all you wear, or just your regular clothes?
No,
or?
they said bring clothes that you're comfortable in and try not to bring anything flashy. Anything like...
So bring
Yeah, so-
t-shirts, joggers, whatever.
Yeah, I pretty much
Chill
wore
clothes.
pajamas and a hoodie pretty much the entire time. So,
That kind of sounds interesting.
Yeah, that would be
Like
cool to
thinking
go
maybe-
It does sound interesting.
It
and
was.
Take a week and go do that.
That's 10 days, Doc.
Well,
That'd be rough.
a
Two
week
guys
and
dropped
3
out.
days.
That's so much.
Two of the guys dropped out within like the first 4 days.
I
4 or
think
5
I would
days.
lose my mind after day one.
Yeah.
Start biting people.
Oh, yeah, dude.
You just start thinking of everything
Give me your
that's
friggin'
going on
arm.
at home, like that you need to do. You're like, oh, I could be doing this right now. I
Yeah,
could be checking my
That's
stocks
probably
right
the first
now.
few days, and then after that, huh?
I thought it was gonna be that, but it was kind of hard for me the entire time because at first it was like, okay, got to buckle down and do this, and it was like a lot of skepticism and trying to figure out. And my brain kept on thinking like, how can I break the system and all this, and like how could I sneak food into my room and sneak some extra stuff? But it was like, no, I'm here. I'm gonna choose into it. I'm gonna actually do it. And then, yeah, but after a while, I started just trying to do the meditations and started getting frustrated because the meditations were actually really easy for me because I already meditate a lot. So it was frustrating to like have them hold my hand through it all. And then later on, like they started changing the meditations up a bit, and I kept on trying to get a certain result out of meditation. It's like trying to meditate specifically to get to the point where you're floating or something like that. And you're constantly trying for this goal instead of actually enjoying what meditation is and what it can do for you. So I was doing that for a lot of days. Once I finally got over that, then I started actually getting repercussions. Just like it was like once I accepted that this is my life now. Like this, I'm a monk.
Yeah.
I learned I couldn't be a monk though, because I kept on seeing a path on the mountain, and I just was like, I want to know what's over that mountain. So
Well, as a monk, you could go climb a mountain.
it depends on the monk.
Huh.
Because they didn't want you doing any physical exercise either. That was really
What?
hard. Yeah, you couldn't go running.
Excuse me?
Yeah, no running, no like. So like I
Dude,
wanted
I'd have to do push-ups or something in my room. Sneak some push-ups.
You
I don't
totally
know.
could. And what was funny is finding out, like, I think it was day 7 or 8, I lost. I was like, I'm going to do one of my meditations. I'm sick of doing their meditations. I'm going to do one that I do and that I enjoy, and then one that I do already. So I did that one, and I started feeling a lot better. And then later I'm talking to someone, and she's like, yeah, after, like, the 4th day, I had to start doing my own meditation at night just because I needed to, like, recenter myself with my stuff. So I was like, I wasn't the only one going nuts.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're just torturing yourself. Like, what the hell's the goal? Except to say you did it.
Just try it out.
What is it? Work, freedom through work? like I said, it's based on the
Work will set you free.
work will set you
Yes.
free.
Yeah.
But it's based on the Buddhist idea that because this isn't a specifically Buddhist thing, but it is directly from the Buddha's teachings. And so his thing is basically, it's like letting these things come up, letting these pains come up, and then learning to not be attached or averse from them. Then you let them go away and things start flowing better. It's like your thoughts come up that you're talking about when you're meditating. Instead of trying to think yes or no with the thought, just let it come and let it go, and don't be attached to it. And so, it's like the what is it, the not adversity, the chat. What are we talking about? Not freedom through work, but freedom through adversity or something like that.
Suffering.
Suffering.
Is what we were
That's
talking
the word.
about.
Suffering.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, once you realize all these things that cause suffering, then you can let them go. That's where they come in. It's like you realize that aversion leads to suffering and attachment leads to suffering. Because aversion, like, I don't want to eat my Brussels sprouts. I don't want to. You're averse to them. Well, you're gonna, like we were talking about earlier, you're gonna attract Brussels sprouts into your life, and you're always gonna be in a bad mood because you always have Brussels sprouts around. So you're gonna create suffering. And attachment does the same thing, where it's like, I'm only happy when I'm getting laid or something like that. So you're constantly looking for that, and then you're always craving that thing. So you're never really happy. You're just happy for those 10 seconds. Or however long you last, I don't know. But you're only happy for so long.
Say 10 seconds. Dang, dude.
But
Freaking marathon over here.
But then you're never really happy because you're having that craving, and you're constantly wanting it. But as soon as you get it, then you're like, oh, that wasn't as good as that one time, or oh, now I need another one, or that wasn't as good. I want a better one.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you start getting hooked on weed, and you're like, when you first start, one hit, it's like, woo, I'm fine, I'm feeling it, I'm good. Let's go play Mario Kart or something like that. Versus the end when you're like, loading a bowl 2 times, smoking, just like, I think I might be high. But it's you don't know because you're constantly craving more instead of being happy with the little you have.
How does one get hooked on weed? Because as far as like the science behind it, as far as I understand, it's non-addictive. But
Not
I imagine
physically.
the feeling is quite addictive. I've never done it, so I'm curious. Like, how does that process work?
So there's an interesting book that's called Catching Fire. No, wait. I confused this with the Hunger Games book.
Yeah.
Stealing Fire. Stealing
There we
Fire.
go.
That's what it is. Have you guys read it? Or Stealing Fire. Good book. It talks a lot about altered states. I think this book talks about it, but it or a different book talked about they gave a crackhead two types of crack. They gave him one that was it was actually a lower level quality stuff, but they let him do it in his comfortable place, like on his sofa, in his mom's basement, or wherever he's doing it, right? But he's going through his ritual of getting high, and then they measured the endorphins and how high he felt and how much positivity he had. Then they gave him a better version of the crack, but they put him in like a sterile medical environment. So the actual chemical was better, but he actually had measured less endorphins through that one than he did with his whole ceremony. So with me, that's what I've noticed weed is it's and really just any addictive substance, be it. It's because to me the most addicting thing around is social media right now, and that's way more addicting. But all addiction is that you crave a certain state, and so like it's not necessarily the chemical of weed that I think is addicting, but it's in a way it gives your brain permission to feel this way. Like it could be totally arbitrary too. Like you could try weed for the first time, but then you find $20 on the side of the road and you're elated and happy that you found $20, and so you're happy. And your brain correlates the feeling of finding free money and the feeling of weed at the same time. So you're less addicted to the chemical and more addicted to that high. And so then every time you smoke, it feels like you're getting $20 or feels like whatever feeling you want. That's why people get addicted to alcohol, in my opinion. It's because that social community, that fun, that carelessness, that confidence that comes from alcohol, people relate that with the alcohol. It's not actually the alcohol giving them that, though. They're deciding to it. And the way it's like they have the lock. This lock is on my confidence and my happiness.
Yeah.
And alcohol is a key that fits it. Well, you could find another key that fits it. Alcohol is just a convenient key. And so
Yeah.
that's what I think of addiction to weed is you start just getting addicted to that feeling. And to me, the real danger of weed is not actually this chemical substance. It's the habits that come along with it. To me, that's the real danger of weed is that you tend to crave sugary foods instead of healthy foods. You tend to want to stay in and do calming stuff. Not always. There's there's hyper stoners, but it feels like it kills my my determination, my drive.
Okay.
Which some people need that. Like they're like, I'm all go 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 go. I need something to slow me down. Cool, this might be for you. But for me, it's like I go 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 go, and I like to compound off of that. But weed can set me back to where I go back to stagnant and I have to start pushing that wheel again.
Okay. So it kind of ultimately affects your self-discipline with
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, for me, that's really the danger of it. The actual chemical, whatever. Smoke's not good in your lungs, but there's edibles. There's other ways to do it. You know, it doesn't matter the substance. It's what the substance brings it into your life.
Turns that into a what was I saying earlier? A core habit, keystone habit.
Keystone habit, yeah.
that just negatively affects others.
Exactly.
Awesome. You boys have any other thoughts, feelings, anything about
I feel like I've been
self-discipline?
talking this entire time.
No, it's fantastic.
Great. Yeah.
So like about the self-discipline or anything for Eli, anything like that?
I'd say, do you have any advice for our followers that'll actually listen to this?
Yeah, any life advice for the listeners?
Besides all the advice that you've already given.
Yeah.
Play this tape 1,000 times. No,
It's been a lot shelled out.
I'd say what I said about finding what works. Instead of finding what's good and bad, just find out what works for you. And then look at it impartially. Look at it really, what am I doing to earn this result? And do I like this result? And do I like doing it to get this result? Because if you don't like doing it, but you like the results, then if the results are good, then do it. Like that's how people can work jobs that they hate.
Right.
But if you don't like doing it and you don't like the result, then find something else that works that way. Or you don't quite like the result the way it's coming, then change. Look at it impartially. Don't add the lens of right and wrong to it. Like for me, smoking weed isn't exactly right for me because I've noticed that it doesn't work for me. I bring other habits with it. But for someone else, it might be exactly what they need. Or drinking. Drinking has no effect on me because I don't get the benefit from it. Like for me, it's always the social aspect that I like. So just learn to look at what you do in a more impartial sense, and then be kind to yourself about it too. Don't judge yourself for doing this. I like this, and so and it's bad, so I must be bad. No, you do this, and these are the results you get, and this is how you feel about it. Don't make it its problem. Take credit in all the habits you have, including the bad ones, because you've worked hard for them.
Yeah, fair enough. I like it.
Yeah.
Eli, we appreciate you coming on tonight.
Yeah, no, it's
we'll definitely have you on again. We've had some interesting podcasts about different drugs and stuff. If you've played with anything that way and different spiritual experiences, we've done all sorts of fun stuff that way.
We're gonna have a mushroom podcast.
Yes,
we will.
We have to have a mushroom podcast.
Mushrooms are a trip.
We will have a mushroom podcast.
Talk about them for hours.
But not on this day.
No.
We appreciate you coming on.
No, my pleasure.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that jazz. Check out our Patreon. It's all going to be linked below the video. Eli, do you have any social media you need to shout out or anything?
No, I did not care about social
All right. Then we won't worry about that. We'll see you guys next week.
All right.
Goodbye.
Toodles.